major skeptic on crypto tokens, which you call currency, like Bitcoin. They are decentralized Ponzi schemes, and the notion that's good for anybody is unbelievable.
So on Capitol Hill yesterday, I mean, listen, he wasn't equivocating, right? He made no bones about it. He thinks crypto is a Ponzi scheme. Joining me now is someone who just has a slight disagreement. Coin Stories podcast host, Natalie Burnell. I mean, Natalie, when you heard that, I mean, you kind of heard Jamie Dimon say things like that before, but, he really was pretty emphatic about it yesterday.
Well, look, there are a lot of Ponzi schemes out there in the tokenized world. Bitcoin is not one of them, but I think the biggest Ponzi scheme in history is fiat, because if you need ever expanding credit in order to produce smaller and smaller amounts of real economic growth and productivity, what else is that but a Ponzi scheme? But I have a couple things to say about Jamie Dimon in particular. Number one, do a light Google search and you'll find that he contradicts himself. Sometimes he's for crypto, sometimes he's against it. But look, Bitcoin doesn't need Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon will need Bitcoin because his customers will demand it and he can make money off of it. Number two, we don't need big banks as friends, right? This is the whole movement. We want to eclipse the big institutions. So maybe this is something we can actually agree upon with Elizabeth Warren. And number three, Jamie Dimon speaks for the Fed. And I think people are pretty fed up with the fact that these are unelected people who have so much power over the economy. Right. And this is really a banking cartel, right? They've presided over massive booms and busts while they're supposedly stabilizing the business cycles. And instead, they've just decimated the middle class. So I think people are fed up, and he wouldn't be as rich as he is if there wasn't a ton of easy money flowing his way so he could slurp from the monetary spigot first before everyone else.
I love all those points you make. Listen, the creature from Jekyll Island, which is the Federal Reserve, when they put it through with the promise that we would no longer have these boom or bust cycles, we would no longer have panics like we saw in the 1800s, that the business cycle would be smooth, and that's all we've had since then. And to your point, it always feels like Wall Street gets richer and richer and richer after every single boom and bust cycle, no matter what.
Generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem. You don't need trust banks.
But does that disrupt you eventually? Because you are custodying all of these assets.
No, we're not a custodian. We're not, we use third-party custodians in everything we do.
In everything you do?
We're not a custodian bank.
So your goal, by the way, I don't think that he was technically a custodian either, which is a separate issue.
I think they were. I don't know if there was a real custodian in that closed ledger, but that's a whole other story. You should ask him that question. No, I mean, the transformation, think about it, instantaneous settlement, bonds and stocks. No middlemen. We're going to bring down fees even more dramatically. As for me, I don't have to vote on any shares anymore because the beneficial owner will do all the voting.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments.